Kawahatsu Sensei served in Waipahu and ministered to us for a number of years before he came to join all of you. Thank you to the Kawahatsus for allowing me to speak to all of you today. Thank you to Kami-sama also for Kami-sama has saved my life. So I'm here to express my thanks to Kami-sama, but also to the Kawahatsus too. And of course to my wife, Wanda, and to my daughter, way in the back over there, who came with me today, or this past week. So let me just say that for all of you, well, for some of you who have been long-time Californians, lived here in San Francisco for most of your life, you were probably here in 1989 when they had a gigantic earthquake, and it probably affected you individually, so that it's one of those days that maybe you'll remember and you'll be able to tell people, I was doing this particular thing in 1989. Just like in Hawaii, there was the Pearl Harbor attack, and my dad remembers that he was taking a shower at that time and just came out on December the 7th of the shower and looked around and saw smoke, at Pearl Harbor. So for me, early January, I don't remember the exact day, but in early January, I did suffer from a kind of an earthquake at that particular time, an earthquake in my personal history, just like some of you experienced 1989 earthquake. Let me tell you about my prostate quake. I call it a prostate quake, and you'll understand why. Prostate, in case some of you don't know, is a small organ, maybe about the size of a walnut. And I just learned that too at the time of my prostate quake. I really didn't know much about it. Apparently it plays a role in human reproduction. So the fact that my prostate was affected did not bother me that much, because I've been a father now for a number of years, 3 healthy children, so that didn't bother me very much. But of course the word cancer, that disturbed me a good deal. And I really didn't have a kind of a visual picture of what cancer was all about. I was surprisingly ignorant of it. Of course I knew it was potentially a life-threatening disease, but just about a month ago I was watching on television a DVD about cancer, how the cells multiply into tumors, how those tumors, if they continue to grow, will spread out blood vessels from them. And it kind of resembled, I thought, my goodness, now I understand why cancer is called cancer and why my astrological sign is also called Cancer too. So if you're born in July, July in Waipahu, at the Waipahu Church, is, I think, had been the most prolific month in terms of births. The most people born in our membership in July. So at any rate, that's a little bit about prostate cancer, and that's what I had. So what happened, of course, is, well, let me take you then to the beginning of my ordeal in early January of this year. The doctor, my urologist, invited me into his office and told me to sit down. And the first word that came out of his mouth, he used the word "unfortunately," and already I knew inside, I said, uh-oh, something not so good, because he had some test results for me. And then another word that he used, which kind of struck me, it was a 4-letter word, and it was the word wild. He referred to my cancer as wild, suggesting, of course, that its ability to spread was very intense. And as a high school teacher for many years, I have heard a good many 4-letter words. Fortunately, not directed at me personally, most of them. Some of them were, unfortunately. But down the hallway, I heard many guys, but also surprisingly young women too, lately because of women's liberation. They're all using those four-letter words. But at any rate, that word struck me. And then the doctor talked about, he talked about a particular chart that should have been important to me and statistics, but that did not stick because I think I was already growing numb from the, what the doctor said. He did leave me with this thought, which is he wanted to see me and my family the following week, kind of like at the end of the day. So I had some gloomy thoughts. So anyway, went home, talked to my wife about it, talked to my children. My children came over, so they were great supports to me. So all of you who have loving family members, you really should be thankful for them and really thank Kami-sama for family support. So the following week came, and we all gathered together, and let's see, I'm losing my train of thought too. But the physician there, he made three very important points. He said, number one, I couldn't afford simply to sit back and see how the cancer would affect me. If you know anything about prostate cancer, there are a lot of people who have it that can live with it. It's not so serious. So you may know of people who have prostate cancer and they're not doing very much about it. That's the doctor's advice. But my doctor said it's something that I had to take care of, rather quickly. Secondly, I had two options. I could either have it removed surgically, or I could go through radiation treatment. And the third thing he said was that he recommended for me surgery, and he said that he could do it. He could do the job. So, but we wanted second opinions. My wife suggested that we go through a second opinion. So for about 2 or 3 weeks, I kind of wrestled with, what to do about it. This was to me kind of a life-disturbing situation, so wanted to get as much advice as possible, but did not have any type of overall guidance. Like you may have heard of a nurse navigator. Didn't have anybody to give me that type of counseling. So you had to see each physician individually. And they were all very well-meaning, all very educated people. 2 urologists and 2 oncologists. Oncology is the study of tumors. So I had 4 different physicians. But unfortunately, after going through all of that, I was still confused as to what to do because the 2 surgeons said surgery, and the 2 oncologists, you might guess, said radiation. So, but fortunately, I did have my wife to help me recall what the doctors, their arguments pro and con. She said, "Oh, do you remember? Oh, this particular doctor, said this," and so that was helpful. And my children also had been to the surgeons with me, one surgeon with me. So you can probably guess which way I decided to go, which is through surgery. The arguments seem to be clearer and better for me. So I'm very thankful to my surgeon, Dr. Charles Kim. We found out that we had asked him, how many prostate surgeries have you performed with robotics? And he said 300. So, and for my particular case, he had performed a number of the so-called difficult cases, so we decided to go with him. So if any of you, well, robotic surgery has to do with, maybe some of you know, the surgeon sits at a kind of a console or dashboard. He has a screen in front of him, and then he, with various gadgets, is able to manipulate these arms of a robot. There are like 4 of them or 5 of them, and then incisions were made in my abdomen, and then he goes in and skillfully, at the end of each arm there's some digits, fine motor control, and he's able to cut, you know, the prostate, and along with some other tissue that were potential pathways for the cancer to spread. So all of those were taken out. Many of them were taken out, including the prostate. During the process, he also found a hernia, unexpectedly found a hernia, which I didn't even know about. So he fixed that in about 5.5 hours. He was able to fix it. When he finished, he took, I'm told, because I was out cold, I'm told that he just put down his equipment and he rushed down the hallway to his next operation, you know. So he was quite in demand, quite a surgeon in demand, and so I'm very thankful to him, very fortunate, because so far the cancer hasn't come back. But anyway, cancer is microscopic, so he said, you know, there's no way that I can really see, the surgeon can see being able to take everything out. So, you know, that's where Kami-sama and Konko Kyo come in too, to a great extent. But, so I would like to tell you some things about, I did a lot of otoritsugi before the surgery and after the surgery, because there was so much uncertainty involved. And so I consulted...
Some people don't know what the toritsugi means.
Oh, okay. Okay. So,
explain it.
Otoritsugi, Konko Kyo, first of all, has a strong tradition in faith healing. Starting with the founder of Konko Kyo, he was healed by Kami-sama. One of his illnesses involved the possibility of dying, and so he was able, through a visionary experience and a number of experiences, to bring about a cure through, what can I say, communication with Kami-sama. And anyway, he worked with a number of believers through what is called otoritsugi. It's a relationship where the sensei becomes a mediator between the believer as well as Kami-sama. So I went to talk to ministers and could understand from history, the history of the church, that they would be able to help me. And so I talked to 7 different ministers, either directly or using email. In the case of sensei, it was email. And I'll just talk generally and quickly about some of the things that they told me, which possibly could be helpful to all of you too, if you're interested in otoritsugi. After I talked to them, one of the first things that they said was they tried to make me understand that they had either had a life-threatening experience. It wasn't exactly like mine, perhaps, but it was some kind of a very trying, usually a physically disturbing experience, or that they knew someone else who had had such an experience, someone close to them. One minister even became tearful too as she talked to me, and I felt that she was, in a sense, talking about her own particular difficulties due to her husband passing away fairly recently. So that was the first thing that kind of came across to me, that ministers cared, that they understood my fears and my doubts, and that they could help me. The second thing that many of the otoritsugi ministers did, they tried to make me understand that I wasn't alone too. In addition to them, the ministers, that I could rely upon, I should be able to rely upon other Konko believers, family members. My wife is a long-time Konko Kyo member, even before me, and also Mitama, the Mitama spirits. My parents, my wife's parents had recently passed away, so those people were also praying for me. Certain things happened within our church that suggested that they were praying for me. Like Wanda's father has a trust set up to support Waipahu Church, and so some of the trust money that came in on my father-in-law's birthday to the church came about just about a week or so before my surgery was performed. So, and they made that connection during Otoritsugi. So perhaps the most interesting Otoritsugi experience that I had was from a young minister. And the minister was also a healthcare professional, and so she tried to, I thought she was at first trying to discourage me from both surgery and radiation treatment. I thought in a way she was saying, don't do either one, because she said, your cancer cells are really your own children, and you know, you would not want to kill your own children, so you know, you should try to reform your, you know, just like you would try to help your children to correct them, you know, you should do that too. So I thought, I gave a good deal of thought to that idea, and then I said, well, I'll try to combine the knowledge of science with the wisdom of Konko Kyo, and what I came up with is basically what I told you, that maybe there's some cells that are not, what can I say, are not reformable. You know, they can't be corrected or tamed, and so therefore I have to take out the prostate, the center of all of that. But on the other hand, the cancer cells that do remain within me, because they are microscopic and not all of them can be removed, I can lead the best life that I can, strengthen my immune system, improve my positive thinking, rid myself of selfishness, improve my diet. There's so many different things, yeah, that can be done. I have always disliked seafood, and so I'm really fortunate because my wife loves seafood, and so she prepares all kinds of dishes for me to dress up the salmon. Salmon is supposed to be very good for cancer patients. So I'm really, that's another blessing that I have. So I also have a couple of good friends outside the church. I'm sure all of you have good friends outside the church too, and so I was able to talk with them, and they gave me a lot of advice as well. That was very, very important. So I just want to leave you with some thoughts. She's my timer, so I had to. I wanted to practice, and so you know, it was time. The first time I practiced, it was 13 minutes, so I thought everything was great. But then the next time I practiced, it was like 26 minutes. I don't know why. I guess I get carried away, you know. So I said, well, you know, somebody better time me. So I think things are okay so far. But I just want to close with the thought that, of course, that I started with, that I'm very grateful to Kami-sama. My life has been saved, but for me to continue on, I have to improve myself. I have to do many different things. 1,000 times a day to express my thanks. I have a kind of a diary where I write down specifics every day. It's maybe 1,000 pages already on the word processor. But that wasn't enough, because I actually started this diary before I had the prostate cancer. So just writing it down is not enough. You know, you have to think it. It has to be like the bedrock of your subconscious mind, deep down inside, to be grateful for everything. So many different ways to improve my life. So to the extent that I can do that, I will be able to live, I hope. And then of course, the next important point I wanted to make is that I'm talking, I believe, not only about preventing myself from getting cancer again, but I think just basically good health. So if all of you want to prevent yourself from getting, you know, any type of illness, you should try to do the things that Sensei is talking about Konko Kyo. When I found out that I had cancer, one of the first things that the doctor said to me is that my sons are now 50% more likely to have cancer, just because I had the cancer. And so, you know, what can I say? to prevent them from getting it, I'm telling them all of these things too that I'm telling you. So, thank you very much.